Hey everybody, Christian from Treasure Town here, and today we're going to be going over the errors on Lincoln Memorial pennies from the 1970s, so 1970 to 1979, and I've got a PowerPoint presentation prepared. It's got clear photos of all of the errors, and these are the major errors. There's some tiny ones that we might kind of gloss over, but I'll show you the photos, clearly explain how to look for these, where the markers are, and then talk about the different conditions and what their prices will be based off of how much wear the coin has been exposed to. So we'll get right into the presentation. It's kind of interesting. Most of these coins are going to be from 1974 or older, but there's a good concentration at the start of the decade. And our first coin for the day is going to be a 1970s Memorial Penny double die obverse. As I mentioned, it's going to be pretty constrained to the first part of the 1970 decade, but we have a fair amount of coins to go over, and it's quite clear doubling. You can really see it in the In God We Trust, in the Liberty, doubled L, very doubled B, and then the In God We Trust, I think, is the best place to see it. But this one's quite expensive, $800 in an AU53. Mint State 63 is $5,000. Mint State 65 is $15,000, and this is definitely one of the most expensive errors that you can really be finding. There's also a double die obverse that's, the place to look for it is kind of this protrusion at the bottom of the zero, which kind of seems like a strange coin to have that, be that desirable as an error, but that's how this ended up working out, and, you can't really complain. AU53, though, the values reflect $5. Mint State 63 is about $40, and Mint State 65 is about $90. Then we go to the 1971, which also has a pretty prominent double die obverse. You can see maybe some split serifs there in the R, especially in the In God We Trust. It's a combination of extra thickness, somewhat of a spread. You can see definitely doubling in the G, some separation in the O and the D of the In God We Trust. AU53 is a $50 coin, Mint State 63 is $250, and it ranges up quickly, especially with a red designation at Mint State 65 for $700. There's 1972, there's a ton of varieties for this year, and I didn't actually put every single one of them. I think that there's like 9 in total, and I didn't want to go through each single one of them, but the point is that 1972, you want to be looking close. This is the most prominent error, just extreme doubling. I'm surprised it must be more common than the 1969S because it's a similar level of severity in terms of just massive doubling throughout the coin. 1972, just very clear in terms of that separation. Double bars, the double bar in the L, huge spread in the In God We Trust. This one between 150 and 200 in the AU range, 250 to 500 in the Mint State range, and will range up beyond the 65 even more. The next one is, as you can see, less separated, though still the Liberty double bar in the bottom of the L, clear separation in the E and the R, and then when we look at 1972, there's a good kind of separation. It looks like kind of extra thickness, but on the uncirculated coins, you can also tell on the bottom of that too. And it still commands decent prices, $75 to $200 for Mint State. Didn't have any AU history. Forget how many of these I put in here, but yeah, number 4 was also one that I wanted to note. Again, clear separation in the L. In the B, the date is a little more tricky to see, maybe some notching in the top of the 2 and the top of the 7. And this one is the most expensive of them, even though, for whatever reason, I would think that the first coin would have been a lot more expensive. But this is a $1,500 coin in Mint State 63 and $4,000 in Mint State 65. I believe it's the most rare of the 1972 varieties, and there are people who try to collect all of them, and that's what drives the price up on this specific one. When we go to 1974, there's also a non-1970, it's non-Denver, but they made a bunch of these aluminum cents, and they destroyed all of them except for a few rogue ones that I believe are illegal to own, or if you try to sell it, probably not going to be a very good idea, but still just fun to know about the mythical coins, so to speak. This one's valued at about $250,000, but they tried making aluminum coins. It didn't stick, it didn't work, and perhaps there's a few of them floating around out there, and they'd obviously be very expensive coins. I think I have a video on this coin, and maybe I should do another one, but they would have been made both with Denver mint marks and without, So, if you have one of these, they would be lighter than a normal penny. So sometimes I get emails, but they're a clear target for plating if people can pass them off. But those are pretty clear because the weight will be way off. So that brings me to a conclusion for these 1970s coins. Like I promised, not anything towards the end of the decade, but glad to be able to present so you know exactly what to look for. Thanks for watching the video. I'd encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe for more content, and get in touch with me on my website, treasuretownYT.com, Facebook, TreasureTown, Instagram @TreasureTownYT, or Twitter @TreasureTown_YT, and I'll look forward to seeing you on some of my future vids.